So hi, I'm Brian Wood, and I'm a web developer and somebody who just creates a lot of learning content for people. And I've actually got Travis Neilson here, who works at Google, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I design search at Google, and I work hard to share what I'm learning all the time with people via speaking, making videos, podcasts, that kind of stuff.
Well, what I really wanted to get to in this, we're talking about user experience design, and I want to talk about how we start a project. This is like nuts and bolts, right?
Yeah.
This is like, okay, we get the idea, we're given a widget, we say we need to create a blah, an app, a website, or whatever thing it needs to be. Where do we start? Where do we go from?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's asking the question. There's this really great quote by Aristotle, which I like. It says, asking the right question is half the answer. And so we're talking about research, is what I'm saying. Yeah. We're talking about foundational research. And we should also make a definition of what we want to accomplish. What does success look like? That's another question that we should be asking in the very front.
Okay. And we're trying to go in and we're trying to say, you know, we have this thing we need to create to get to a certain point, to sell a certain blah, whatever.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so how do we map to that? How do we get to that point? Like
The two
like,
most important things that we just really need to do are, number one, define the problem we're trying to solve. What is the need that we're trying to meet?
So for instance, if we had somebody come to us and say we need to build an app, etc., and we want it to look like this, and it's for an X company.
Yeah. See, already they're talking about solutions.
Okay.
And they're not asking, they're not answering the question of why.
Yeah.
Who needs this?
Okay.
What is the problem we're trying to solve? And then we set project goals. Success will look like X, Y, Z.
Okay. I got you. That makes sense. Yeah, that does make sense. So, okay, if we're trying to, let's focus for a minute on research, and we're trying to figure out these things we're talking about, right? How do we go about doing that? How do we, what are some of the concrete things we can do that you do?
Research is really asking that question, and then the ways that can be expressed is a lot of different ways. And there's like a spectrum of low touch, kind of easy, quick stuff you can do, do a Google search.
Okay, which I've done.
Yeah, like anybody can do this. Like when people talk about, I'm doing research, they're just Googling things. But that's really the point. It's super fast, it's quick, and there's so much knowledge that you can just suck up by doing a Google search. But then as your specificity of the questions that you're asking become more complex and specific and mature, then you want to do other things like doing an actual study, sending out a questionnaire, doing some analytics on the products that already exist, and you get these more high touch things. Can I create a flow and put it in front of a user and kind of sketch something and be like, does this make sense to you? Does this answer the question, the need that you have?
Okay, what's a flow? What do you mean by a flow? I mean, I'm thinking in my mind
if I have this wild idea, why don't I just sketch out a UI?
Okay.
And put it in front of somebody and be like, what would you do? Ask that question. What is this to you?
Okay. That's interesting. I like that.
And they're like, I don't know. Maybe I would tap there. I'm like, oh, what do you expect would happen next?
Okay.
Go to another screen with a grid of images.
But that to me is the interesting part, because as a designer, I mean, you're trying to come up with how it looks, how it sort of acts and all put together, right? But we're really trying to get to the point of what? We're trying to make it so that if a user is going to use this thing, it's going to make sense to them. It's going to work. They're going to get in, get out, get their...
Just meet their need.
Meet their need. Okay.
What's their need?
Okay.
That's what we want to find out. Okay. And then we want to create something toward that.
Okay. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. So now with research, there's a lot of terminology that I've heard, and one of the terms that I've heard is called foundational research. Yeah. Describe that. What is that?
Foundational research is so important. It happens at the very foundation of all of the work. And essentially, the purpose of foundational research is to prove or disprove your idea. And you're like, why would I do research to disprove my idea? If you can get your idea disproved very early on, you've saved yourself a ton of work and heartache when you find out that it's a bad idea later, right? After you've invested time and energy and money into something and then find out it's a dumb idea. Wouldn't it be great to know if your dumb idea was dumb way sooner on?
Before you spent the time and the effort.
Right.
And blah,
so do the foundational research.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So if we put that down into like a concrete real world example and we're building an app or something like that, we would say, well, we're building it for, what kind of company?
Well, you do this foundational research and you're like, oh, it turns out people don't need umbrellas on the subway.
Okay.
We didn't know that. But we learned that and we saved a lot of money and time now.
Interesting. This is great. This is the
Because
type of
my startup idea, umbrellas on the subway, no good.
yeah, probably not.
Change it. Umbrellas outside when it's raining. Ooh.
Hey, there you go. Easy to prove or disprove, right? So we are talking a lot about asking questions, getting started with the process, right? And just trying to figure out how we go about doing this. And it really sounds like one of the big things we're going to be doing is starting to ask questions and be in different ways. Like you said, the low touch, we called it, right?
Low touch.
And the high touch.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, we're doing a Google search, we're doing a questionnaire, we're going out further.
Yeah. Low touch is also low cost.
Yep.
And quicker.
Yep.
So do as much as you can. Like do all the thrashing at this side of the spectrum.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So focusing on research and just starting to kind of keep this thing rolling. And this is kind of the beginning part of the process, sort of, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.